that shit down while I issue my statement. It needed a moment of silence. Nigga, we made it.
You see how the whole internet tried to do Travis Hunter's girlfriend? And look, he done married her. That's what y'all get. Y'all need to stay out of people's business. Because everybody does not care that somebody had a past before them. The only people who care about stuff like that is people who are not secure within themselves and people who care about what everybody else around them think. Y'all try to break him and that girl up. Y'all try to, destroy this young lady. And he done married the woman. I love that for you, Travis. It shows leadership. It shows you're a real man. Men get very, very insecure when it comes to other men and their women having dealings with them, especially if it was before them. A real secure grown man don't care about a woman's past. Only insecure men care about that. I hope this is a lesson for some of y'all, because people gonna do what they want to do regardless. Thank you. Stop listening to the internet. It's gonna really make you a miserable person.
Travis Hunter just got married. First reaction, good move or bad move?
I mean, you can't call it a bad move. I think every man has a path that they got to go on. You know what I mean? Whether it's a path of a lesson that needs to be taught or whether it's a path of success. You know what I mean? So whatever her past was, he was willing to deal with it. So if her past is part of who she is in the future, he's got to deal with that as well. So if it is a successful marriage, then he chose correct. But I mean, we won't know that until, you know, the future presents itself and we see how this plays out. But nonetheless, we all have a path that we have to go, and we go off with our instincts, what we're feeling now, and hope that we make the right decision. You know,
bad move. It's in fact a bad move. Emory University did a research study that found that men who spend more money on wedding rings are more likely to get a divorce. So the men who spent between $2,000 and $4,000 were 1.3 times more likely to get a divorce than men who spent $500 to $2,000 on a wedding ring. And the men who spent $20,000 or more on a wedding ring were 3.5 times more likely to get a divorce than men who spent less than that. And there he is dropping the bag on the wedding ring. So that right there is just being objective. According to the data, that right there is it's not looking good. It's more likely that he's going to get a divorce. Furthermore, men should never lead with their money. A woman is going to like you for you. They're going to see the other traits in you, your morality, your characteristics, your mannerisms, just how you carry yourself as a man, your ability to provide and protect without you making, you know, millions of dollars on them knowing how much you make. If they're going to be feeling you, they're going to be feeling you. The women who require you to spend all that money, they're not feeling you like that. The lady in the clip who's speaking, she's probably a 304. You see she has the tattoo breast, and that's why she's speaking like that. Of course, a person's past matters. Your past is a part of who you are. They also did a research study that said that women who have had more than 10 partners when they get married, it's more likely that they will get a divorce. So, yeah, that woman. So if you're talking to a woman who she's had, you know, 100 partners, she used to be an escort or she used to be a night walker, who wants to wife that up? Your woman is going to be a representation of you. And also, objectively speaking, it's more likely that a divorce is going to happen. People who say, you know, a person's past shouldn't matter and all that, those are the people who have the worst past. And I would like to ask her, if a man was, you know, he did some egregious behavior, if he was a registered offender or he was a woman beater and he did all that in his past, do you not take that into consideration? Is it just his past, or is it something you should take in consideration when moving forward with a person? So I just think it's just irrational thought from people like that spewing what she was saying.
Could I say something in response to that? You said something about in fact, it's a bad decision based on a study that you read. Did I hear that? Can you hear me?
I said, objectively speaking,
yeah,
it's a bad decision because it's more likely with him dropping the bag on the ring. Research shows it's more likely he'll get a divorce, and we don't even know if he has he had to sign a prenup. If she didn't sign a prenup, that also makes it more likely they'll get a divorce.
Okay, because I'm real, like, I'm a stickler sometimes when it comes to words, and I thought I heard you say the word fact early on, and I just want people to always be careful of, like, whenever you read a research study. Yeah, when we read a research study, like, we gotta understand that those are not facts. Some of them have good information, but they don't always take into considerations key variables. So I just want people to be careful of that.
I mean, research studies are facts, but you have to take in consideration the variables. You have to take in consideration the race, the culture, all of that information. But the research study, the findings are facts. So you have to take the variables into consideration, but the findings are facts. Those are facts. It's just not causation, it's a correlation. So causation means it will always happen 100% of the time. Correlation is where we get the more likely to. So that's why I said it's more likely, and I said the 1.5 times and 3.5 times. That's correlation, not causation. So, but those are facts. The findings were real people. They spent a certain amount of money on it, and then you see how many of those cases ended in divorce in comparison to the others. So that is a fact.
But I want to add to that not one, but it's not always prudent to take what you see from these research studies as facts, because studies are often limited in scope. A lot of the times conflicting results exist, and then also there's bias and methodological flaws in these results. And then anytime someone cites there's a study for something, when you push back and challenge them to say, well, hey, who is this study peer reviewed by? Which means, their peers have also looked at this same data and come to these same conclusions. In these types of conversations, they're rarely had or there isn't any. And then furthermore, there's also rarely any times where these cases have had that metadata studied, for actually what it was. And so when we say that if you ask 900 black men, ask a sample size of 900 black men how they feel about dating, our dating is going to reflect our realities and what we've gone through. If you ask 900 white men what they feel about dating, it's going to reflect their realities and their experiences. So the point I think that Mon is trying to make is that when you talk about these studies as fact, like one, facts aren't objective. They're either facts or they're not. And then two, if you're going to say that we have to take these studies as cause, or you say as what we're going to use to our metric when we have these conversations, we're never going to move anywhere, because I've paid for studies to prove that black men are more likely to be in their father's lives. But then if a woman pays for that same study, she can go aim that at women and ask women that same question, like, well, how do you feel about the opportunity black men have for being in their man's life? And you get a completely different result.